So you have been learning the tarot and you've been keeping a tarot journal for some time, and yet you're still struggling to remember or connect with some or all of the cards, perhaps on a deeper level. So what happens next? Today I'm going to share with you maybe a slightly wild card option for your tarot journal, but it's something that has helped me develop my own practice, and that's why I want to share it with you, because it might be helpful to somebody out there. So let's have a look. But first, if you do keep a tarot journal already, please do comment below and share what is your preferred method of recording your readings. Is it purely written? Is it written with maybe some images of some of the symbols in the cards? Maybe you have some stickers, or do you like to, and this is my personal favourite now, to do a drawing of your reading? Or is it a combination of some of these things? Or do you not record your readings and just prefer to work with the cards and remember what you have read? Please share your thoughts down below. Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Sally. I'm an artist but tarot enthusiast, and I have designed my first deck, which is still work in progress. I am passionate about sharing my love of tarot and oracle cards and the art and the symbolism that goes with it, because it's been a real profound experience for me, and I want to get this information out to as many possible people, and how tarot can help transform their lives and to help people with their own tarot journeys, particularly if you're new and you're just starting out and you're looking for inspiration. Today's video for existing subscribers is an update on my tarot journal practice. I am going to be talking about art and drawing, and I know that's not for everybody, and if it isn't, you may want to skip today's video. No hard feelings, but for anybody else who is looking to experiment or explore with their tarot practice or tarot journal, and by tarot I include oracle cards in this broader description, then stick around, because I'm going to show you what I have been doing for the past couple of weeks, why I've been doing it and how it has helped me, but also importantly steps that you can take to try this out for yourself if you think this might be useful to you. So without further ado, I'm going to switch viewpoints and show you the journal. Now firstly, this is a quick glimpse from my previous tarot journal, which is more of a written journal. The odd bits of image is creeping in here. I have shared this in the past, and if you would like to know more about this way of journaling, then please check the card that I'm going to pop in the corner of the screen now. And many of you will know that I have been moving towards more art-based tarot and oracle journaling. This is the journal I'm going to be looking at today. Interestingly, I was using this as a study deck for Rider-Waite-Smith, but I kind of got as far as the Magician, and then I just stopped doing it because it wasn't working in the way that I'd hoped. So I have reappropriated this sketchbook to help me explore my own deck that I have finished creating, but I've yet to write the book for. Now I did start writing the cards on the computer in a traditional way, but I was finding it quite challenging, and so these are the cards I pulled today. And to be honest, sitting down in front of a computer, particularly here in the UK, it is so hot at the moment, is not really what I want to be doing. So I had a think, how can I make this more of a fun activity for me, and how am I going to connect with my deck that I have created on a much deeper level? So this is my solution. And what I've been doing is pulling a card each day. I know in a previous video I said that I was going to stop doing that because I wasn't finding it useful. However, I've made the exception because this is my own deck, and I wanted to explore it on a more intuitive level, I guess. Obviously, I know what the cards mean generally. They are Rider-Waite-Smith inspired, but obviously I've taken some artistic license with the theme of cats and circuses, and so it's a very playful deck, and I've honestly found this has been a really insightful way of working with the cards. So this is a preview of kind of what the pages look like, and I'll break it down in a bit more detail of how this actually works. So firstly, what is journaling? Well, I first discovered journaling, this was actually a random buy off Amazon. This was actually creating a business plan for visual people and artists, and as you can see here, their business plans are very different to the traditional business plan. But the ideas here can apply to any type of art journaling. It doesn't have to be for business, it can be for maybe shadow work or self-development, and in this case your tarot journal. And what you are essentially doing is you are working intuitively, so you're focusing on the visuals, so colours, textures, patterns, shapes, and then you put your thoughts on top of that. And by doing it this way, you're sort of taking the logic and the fear out of it, because sometimes if you have to write something, it can be quite daunting, and really the colours and really the visual elements that you choose help you to tap into your subconscious on a deeper level, to really pick out what you really know, what you're really thinking, because I think sometimes your subconscious mind can override what you're feeling, because logic will say, well, that's ridiculous, you can't do that, you can't write that down, that's too airy fairy, it's too emotional. But that's the point of journaling. You're sort of tapping into your gut feelings, your emotions, which often are the things that you should be going with. There's, you know, a lot of thought out there about following your intuition. You know, if we did that, we'd probably be in a much happier place than rather doing what we think is the right thing and sort of people pleasing. So I have taken this idea and applied it to my tarot visual journal. So this is a spread that I did from a couple of days ago, I think it was last week. These were actually jumper cards, so I was aiming to have one card, but if a couple come out, I thought it would be an interesting experiment to see what additional messages can come through, and I will talk more about that in a moment. So I basically start by drawing an element of the card, and whilst I'm drawing it, what I'm doing is thinking of phrases or words or sentences that come into mind. Now, of course, I'm aware you don't need to do that. You can just do the written part. But for me, this process, yes, it's a little bit more long-winded, but it really helps me to tap into the additional thoughts about this card, because what I was finding when I was just looking at the card and trying to do it sort of traditionally, I wasn't getting the input that I was hoping. I think I was overthinking it, trying to be too rigid, too aligned with what I thought the card should mean. Classic Virgo trait of overthinking, I'm afraid. And so you'll notice that I've made some words in bold, so these are the phrases that I think are really important, or keywords, and I've chosen different colours. And so this also has stemmed from mind mapping. So traditionally a mind map, or a more advanced mind map, you may also know them as spider diagrams or thought cloud, where you have the word in the middle and then you put all the ideas coming off it. With mind mapping, what you would do is take an idea and put that in one colour, and then any other sub ideas would stay in that colour. So this is sort of a variation on that. I am taking different ideas and putting them in different colours, and again, because it's different colours, it makes it more visual, and so my artistic mind, I can pick out these words and these ideas far more quickly than just plain written text in a Word document. So this speaks to the way my mind works, and if you're creative, or maybe you sort of struggle doing things in a more logical sequence, I know I do, this has worked really well for me. And actually, as a visual person, I find this far more interesting and engaging to look at than just a load of writing. Not to say that having neatly written or scruffily written text in your journal, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think it's just, for me, I need the pictures with the colours and with the sort of chaos of it for it to make sense to me. My mind is a very chaotic place, and this almost taps into just how my mind thinks and processes things. So you may have noticed at the beginning of the flip through that I had an additional piece of paper in here. And so this is the other thing I wanted to say, is this can be a work in progress document, and I'm just adding in this additional slip of paper here because this is the same character, and so this is Casper the Clown, and these cards worked really beautifully together. So we have the Fool and the Page of Cups, which is sort of all about, you know, young beginning energy, following your dreams. So I thought I would see if the character from the same cards had an additional message, and again I've kept this very colourful to tap into the overall meanings of these cards together. And again, in traditional tarot journal, you could just write a written summary. Now, of course, if this seems like a bit too much work, and for some people it might, because they're maybe a little bit daunted about creating images rather than just text, something I should note: the beauty of journaling is that this is a personal document. Nobody has to see this, and it can be as messy or as neat or as accurate as you want to make it. I personally think the messier it is, you know, these aren't finished pieces by any chance, but it's just enough information to help tap in to the subconscious when connecting with these cards. And you could simplify this again if this feels a bit too much. You could just do a simple pencil drawing and do everything in the same colour. That might work for you. You could, if you didn't want to draw, take photographs of the cards and then print them off and stick them in the middle. For those of you that maybe are feeling a little bit daring to try some art but not full on drawing, you could do what's known as the trace and transfer technique, where you trace out the image on one side, you flip the paper over, scribble on the back, flip it over, and then on a fresh piece of paper you go over the lines again and it will print the image on the plain piece of paper. So for instance, if you wanted just Casper the Clown here, I mean, I would say if you're tracing directly over your tarot cards, press lightly because you don't want to give an indent on your card, but very lightly trace around Casper, and then you could have them in the middle and then go back to the other process which I've spoken about, adding colour, adding colourful text. And really, when you're adding the text, I'm not sure if I mentioned this earlier, I'm just allowing sentences and thoughts to come into my mind. It might not even make sense when read together, but it's just sort of snippets and ideas about what I think the card is telling me. So kind of like intuitive downloads, if you will. I've also found by doing it this way, certain symbols within this deck I've created have been cropping up. So for instance, we have the sparkly stars here, which have appeared in several cards over the last week. And I've realised with this deck, I mean, I sort of suspected it when I was designing it, but it's sort of come to a reality now, that these repeated symbols are another way of sort of tracking what the cards are telling me. But most importantly for me, without having to really read a whole load of stuff, it's a very quick reminder of the cards I've been pulling, so I can just go on a very quick instant snapshot. Oh, that was the Knight of Cups, and I can remember what that reading was about, and then obviously I've got additional information that I've written down on top of that, so on and so forth. Whereas in comparison with my other reading, obviously I've made everything a bit smaller. I just don't get that instant hit to remember what the card is, because I actually have to go in and kind of read the title of the card. So if you're the sort of person that does a tarot journal and then you never go back and read them, this might be a technique for you to consider moving forward. It's a more instant way of remembering the cards that you have pulled. So if you are interested in trying this and you're feeling brave, maybe you want to add drawn elements, these are some materials that I like using. So this is an A4, an A5-ish hardback sketchbook. So I live in the UK. I picked this up from Hobbycraft, but you know, most art stores will have a variety of books. Sometimes I use ring bound sketchbooks, but I actually prefer the more hardback versions, because if you do want to work over a double page, it's easier to do so. And then in terms of materials, very simply, I've got these Chromaflow pencils. I like these because you can make the pencils quite soft, like we have here for the flames, but then you can press a little bit harder and get a much more dense layer of colour. So I use these when I don't have quite as much time on my hands, or I'm in a place where it would be awkward to have water and paintbrushes. And then alternatively, for one of these more washy ones, where it looks a bit more painted, these are Durant Inktense pencils. So these are more vibrant and I would say more sophisticated watercolour pencils. So these can work nicely as colouring pencils on their own, and you can get quite broad areas of colour. But also if you added water to them, they go quite vibrant, depending on how much pencil you've actually put down. But don't feel like you have to get fancy pencils. Sort of cheap kids pencils would also work. That's what I use with the felt tip pens, just to do my writing. But again, if you didn't want to do colour writing, you could just use a biro or something like that. As always, thank you so much for joining me today to explore maybe a different way of working with your tarot and oracle card journal. If you found that useful, please do consider giving it a cheeky like and comment if you are going to try this, or if you already try something like this. I always love to hear what you are up to in your tarot practice. Of course, if you found it useful and you're not subscribed already, then you can consider subscribing to the channel for similar content. I typically talk about different ways of journaling, how art and tarot are sort of connected in terms of working with the cards, and then using that in a sort of arty way to do a bit more of a deep dive on your readings, a little bit like what we've talked about today. I also delve into working with moon energies and other tarot related content, the occasional VR and the occasional deck walkthrough. I hope you enjoyed today, and wherever you are, I'm sending you much love. Thank you again for joining me. I'm Sally, and this is my channel, Vaudeville Manor, House of Art and Tarot. Until the next video, here are some other videos you can watch in the meantime. Bye bye.